I think it's that simple.
If YouTube can do it this simply, why can't Facebook? We're trying something new. Bear with us.
Alright, so basically the idea is if we cannot manage to get Facebook Live to work, then why don't we just do it on YouTube?
Then why don't we just do it on YouTube?
I'm going to continue to eat in the background.
That, I think, is essential to... You know, why am I bothering to try and spell entrepreneurship?
There's no A's in it.
Yeah, I gotta remember there's no A's.
If the video doesn't stop during this, we have to start just completely doing it on YouTube.
We have to start just completely doing it from YouTube. Yes, agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Alright, so we're here.
We're here. I think we need to start from the beginning. Personally, I know, I'm sorry. Blame Facebook, blame my computer, blame me if you really want to. It's so frustrating. It's so
Maybe
frustrating.
today's video topic should just be a rant about Facebook. And then we do the vidcast next week.
I agree.
Are we allowed to do 2 non-serious ones in a row? Actually, no, we make the decision, don't we? People decide to watch, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you think that that's a very questionable decision. And fair enough. But there isn't someone here to smack us and tell us not to do something. Besides each other. Yeah, we're both terrible influences on each other.
Lisa's not paying attention, so you know, we can kind of say whatever we want.
Anyway, Facebook.
It appears to be working. I think we have up to an hour's worth of time.
Wow, that's not bad.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Like that's, and it's working. It was simple.
Oh, there's 2 people.
One person. Someone looked at it and went, "Ooh," and ran away. Which I can understand, you know.
Hay
so
fever is killing me.
Hay fever is awful.
But hey, we got it running, which is impressive. Yeah.
So there's that.
I'm sorry, everyone, for the continued technical difficulties that we've experienced throughout this series. But you know what? There are actually a lot of cool non-live videos on the Neurodiversity YouTube channel.
It is true.
So even if today you're like, okay, if they're just going to talk about technical issues for this entire vidcast, I don't want it. There is actually an entire series of videos on our YouTube. No. And guess who they feature?
Is it my children? My bearded awesomeness. Minus the cool branded t-shirt. We didn't have those when I did most of the videos.
That's okay. We do need to start making more videos, so.
There.
Oh. And now they know where to find us.
And now they know where to find us. There you go. Have I missed anything? Live streams can be a mission sometimes. I know, right, Noel? So you missed us failing to start our proper video topic for today on Facebook.
You probably potentially saw 2 attempts that cut off abruptly. What you probably didn't see was the 12 times we tried to start one that refused to even open.
Facebook is in my bad books at the moment. And normally I'm not like anti-Facebook, but today...
Honestly, it's been crapping out on us ever since we started the series.
It has, which is very frustrating.
Hey, do you know what I think? Maybe, hear me out, everyone.
Boycott Facebook and burn down their headquarters?
No, I was going to say, maybe our flash bedazzled camera would actually work with YouTube.
Ooh.
You can see us in high def, which
is probably more horrifying than it should be.
That's okay.
But
anyways, long story short, this seems to be working.
Yes, it does, Noel. Yes, it does.
And so from here on out, dare I say it?
We're
gonna do it on here.
Touch wood, whatever. I don't know what other superstitious things there are, but yeah, we will try and do it on this. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Is there something productive we can actually talk about today, since we're gonna do, because I've labeled it as autism and entrepreneurship. Maybe we could do this as a two-parter and cover some of the stuff today and some of the stuff.
That would be good, I think.
Yeah.
I ate too many things of questionable origin.
Bear from Countdown.
And I don't think I'm gonna puke, but I might.
Aim that way. Why?
Anyways, in our video before, we defined entrepreneurship. Wowzers. That was a big topic. Took us nearly 50 minutes. No, wait. We couldn't get it off the ground.
We couldn't get it to go more than 5 minutes. Or maybe 6.
And we also talked about what makes each of us an entrepreneur, which boils down to the fact that, we're open, accepting, willing to embrace new ideas and challenges.
Think outside the box.
Yep. And that we run businesses
of
our own. Not that anyone knows about my business, because it's not public yet.
But it's there.
It's called Catnappers. No, it's not. I don't steal people's cats, I promise. I give them back. That's different. That's borrowing. Potentially unlawful borrowing, but borrowing nonetheless.
Priceless.
Well, yeah. Jason, how long have you been running your business for?
About 3 years, although I did have about 2 years before that where I attempted to start up a business, which is pretty... Actually, I think that's a short period of time for an entrepreneur to go through before proper business.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the road to success is based on finding the right idea and continuing on with it. Most of the time, it's like a dozen failures, then you figure out what you need to do, find an idea that works, and then you actually have a business.
Yeah.
And even then, it fails 9 out of 10 times.
Even then, yeah. Well, one of my previous attempts was with a software aimed at making rostering employees much easier and simpler, and take the headache away from managers trying to manage their staff on the roster side, so that they could focus on actually being managers. And that was a great idea, and we had a lot of support, and we actually got our first couple of customers, and then it all just fell apart.
Oh, what caused it to fall apart?
There was no money behind it at the time. Yeah, so we got to the point where we needed to properly develop the software, but there was no money to do it, and the amount of money that we could get from the customers for the alpha version was not sufficient to actually get it off the ground.
Noel puts it very well. The road to success is paved with failures.
Yeah. For example, my previous attempt before the software was a game development company, and I tried twice to get that off the ground. Hi, Taya. Hi, Astrid.
Hi.
My children are watching.
That's so exciting. Do you know what?
Taya, hello.
Since they're watching, hold on. Tiggy says hi. Tiggy lives on my bag. I did not name him, but his full name is Tiggy Hugs.
There you go.
I am terrified of small children, but if they're just clinging to my bag, it's okay.
They're just clinging to the bag. There you go. So yeah, tried to start a gaming development company twice. Great idea. I thought it was a great idea. First time was pretty massive shambles. Actually learned a lot, but that was the thing. I learned. Second time, we got really close. We were working on that for almost 14 months. We had the beginnings of the alpha version of the game under construction. I had 12 or 13 people who were on the project with me. And then again, same thing, failed because there was no money in it.
Another key thing as well, with entrepreneurship, another term that you'll definitely hear plenty is bootstrapping, which refers to the fact that you either will not or cannot afford to take out a loan or something like that in order to fund the business, so you survive off of the bare scraps of nothing, which a lot of entrepreneurs can't necessarily afford to do if the market entry cost is really, really high.
For example, I couldn't afford to do that.
However,
with this business, actually.
However, another thing to know about entrepreneurship is that more often than not, it's not the idea, but the team that makes a business a success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And because if you've got the right team, you can make any idea fly. Like, go to Startup Weekend, for example, and some of those ideas are insane. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them are truly inspiring. Some of them are crazy and could never work. But you get these teams forming around them that make it almost investor worthy. And maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but
most companies operate 5 to 10 years before they even are eligible for investment. So people getting it right off the bat is pretty bloody impressive.
And you only have 54 hours at a Startup Weekend to do it as well, which makes it even
need
crazier.
to put in a link for the Startup Weekend website into this. We fully endorse anyone who watches this, ASD or not, I know it's quite the commitment, to participate in a Startup Weekend near them.
Yes. They are global, so wherever you're watching from.
Pretty much every country, every city in every country has one.
Except Ethiopia. They have 2. No,
there's multiple ones in pretty much every country throughout the year. It's like 170 countries. Maybe more than that. That was like 2016's number.
It's like all of the UN does it.
As a matter of fact, for our lovely locals who tune in because they've actually met us in person and realize, oh my god, they're almost as annoying as they are on the vidcast. We actually usually volunteer in some capacity at our local Tauranga Startup Weekend. We live in this weird place called Tauranga. There's a lot of cars, a lot of kiwi fruit, and not much else. But Startup Weekend.
There's Neeby Games.
That's true.
Startup Weekend. Startup Weekend is fantastic. You know, it's full disclosure, it's a very stressful weekend.
And it does involve a lot of interacting with people, so it can be very overwhelming for a lot of people on the spectrum. But not only will you learn people skills and business skills and communication skills and a dozen other skills, finances, pitching, everything. You will come out of it a changed person. Whether you apply that to actually starting your own business or within your current work or within your family life, it doesn't matter. It teaches you a framework of thinking and being that is very empowering.
And that's one thing that I really want to stress with being an entrepreneur, with starting your own business, with being a business owner. We like to have this stereotype, I think, in society that a business person, well, is a businessman, is a 50-year-old white guy with graying hair and a nice suit.
We have a phrase for this. Pale, stale, male.
Yeah. That's the stereotype of your typical businessman, right?
And that they're wealthy.
And that they started wealthy to then create the business. But
became wealthier through it.
Became wealthy. Yeah, thank Donald Trump, if you really want to.
God.
Not that he's a successful business person, but moving on. Whereas the reality of an entrepreneur is very, very different. I mean, you go to Startup Weekend.
It's a grassroots movement, an entire community built underneath the backbone of pretty much every city and community in the world. Entrepreneurship is more common in places that are in times of political turmoil or unrest, that have high rates of poverty, because people realize that their way to escape and do what they're passionate about is starting their own business. And a lot of people in the more developed world, minority world countries, the smaller amount of people in the world
Western.
Exactly, come from that kind of background, think that starting a business is difficult or impossible, and that they just need to work for someone else.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
It's hard, for sure. It's, nothing's a walk in the park, but then, like, getting a university degree.
I'm sorry for the time you cried yourself to sleep.
That's okay.
Because of me directly. Which time?
But like getting a university degree is hard. Getting a job in an IT company is hard, or getting a job, at the supermarket is hard. Everything's hard. But at the end of the day, the actual barriers to entry for being a business owner are ridiculously low.
Yes. However, the personality required to persevere in starting a business
It's ridiculously high.
Yeah. You need to be able to spend 24 hours a day, 5 days a week or more, working on this from the butt crack of dawn to the butt crack of noon until you've got it all figured out. And that's not easy.
That almost sounds like the obsessive way that autistic people go about their preferred interests.
Wow.
Oh, look. An advantage to being autistic. That's not a joke either. That's
in addition, a lot of the earlier parts of starting up a business involve learning a great deal of information, memorization, learning new skills, adaptability. And all of those tools and skills are very common in people on the spectrum and are easy for them to pick up and continue learning. Everything from accounting software through to policies that are issued by their local government. And, at the end of the day, even though a lot of people say, oh yes, great for an ASD person to start a business, but how are they going to interact with humans? Well, A, it's usually not as hard as you think. And B, then you hire someone to do it.
For example?
I mean, you're pointing at me, but I'm pretty sure I'm more antisocial than you are.
You might well be. And funnily enough, I hired Sophie. Part of her job is admin. You guys have probably
met Sophie. She's our amazing administration lady. She, posts a lot of stuff on the Facebook and helps with a lot of the parent groups. She's pretty fantabulous.
And there's, a myth about running your own business is you don't have to do it all yourself. It's
well,
not
obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But it's like
Steve Jobs wasn't there building every single computer, was he?
Well, no, and that's a fantastic example. Steve Jobs, who, if you're not sure who Steve Jobs is, he created Apple, him and Steve Wozniak, although Steve was the driving force behind Apple, really. Steve Jobs was the driving force behind the Apple computer company. He was not much of a programmer. He was not much of a technical designer.
He was just a person on the spectrum who knew a lot about business and human behavior and was just enough of an ass to throw functional electronics into fish tanks to see if water came out in order to determine whether or not that could be made smaller.
Yep.
Air.
He was
not the same thing.
He was a perfectionist that was obsessed with what he wanted and was prepared to, unfortunately, bully people, not that you should follow that example, into getting what he thought was the right way. And
don't bully me.
I won't. I will never bully you. But you throw people skills into that mix, and he saw things a different way, and that was what made Apple. Was they went, well, we're not going to do the same thing as everybody else.
Do you remember when Apple had a clothing line?
No.
They didn't focus on their failures.
Well, there you go. Which is an excellent thing for an entrepreneur to do, is you don't focus on your failures, you just learn from them. Point is, Steve Jobs didn't do everything himself. He hired people, he partnered with people that could do the things he couldn't do. And that's what makes a successful business, is you don't do what you're not good at. You outsource what you're not good at. An example from One Unique Minds is we're not good at getting people jobs. We're not in the employment space. We don't work well with that. So we outsource.
Not as in we're not good at hiring people, as in a lot of the clients we work with are trying to move into, the sector of working and all that stuff. And we find people who are able to find jobs for them.
Yeah, you can go to CCS Disability Action, have an employment team. There is WorkBridge. There is SEA, Supported Employment Agency. There's all these people who are good at helping people find jobs. And so one of our clients says, hey, I want to find a job. Great. Talk to this particular person at this agency. I'll introduce you.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're good at, is connecting people and connecting with people. So we do what we're good at.
If you're terrible at creating ideas, but good at running a business, then, just find someone else's idea and piggyback on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every ideas person need someone who's good at running a business, whether that is also them or not.
There is the ideas and the ingenuity, and then there's the execution. Not of the person with the ideas.
No, don't do that.
That's an offense against free speech.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
As an American, I don't like using that term much because people misinterpret it to say, yes, you're allowed to be a Nazi and have no consequences. Not what it means, hon. It's not what it means.
No, it's not. But yeah, it's brilliant. And the way in which entrepreneurship is framed and the way these events and stuff are run, they're very accepting and inclusive. Nobody's, or at least none of the ones here in Tonga, nobody I've met is going to turn around and go, your idea is stupid, just quit. You're going to tell them, I want to sell lollipops on Mars, and they'll go, great. What kind of lollipops? How are you going to get them there? What's your marketing going to look like? Like, they'll take you seriously.
Yeah. Who's your consumer?
You. Yeah, who's your consumer? Who are you going to sell the lollipops to? What do they want?
What's it called? The Voyager? That little robot on Mars?
Yeah.
That sings itself happy birthday? You can say, I'll make a birthday cake for the Voyager.
Yeah. But my point is, like, that's a bit of a ridiculous example, but my point is,
programmed it to sing happy birthday to itself so that it wouldn't be lonely.
That is both sad and adorable. The kind of questions you get are not, are you really capable of running a business? The questions you'll get are, great. What skills do you need?
Or what research have you done? Or what research can I help you do?
Yeah. And if your answer is, well, I need to make a website, they'll go, great. Can you make a website? No. Who do you know who can? Who can you find who can? You got a website? Great. Are you going to make your product yourself, or are you going to get somebody else to make it? Somebody else? Great. Who? Let's find them. It's a very solution-focused mentality being an entrepreneur. It's very much, we have a problem, fantastic, how do we solve it? If we can't solve it, how do we get around it to keep going? And I love it. I absolutely love it. I was tremendously inspired by my first startup weekends. And I haven't managed to participate in one since because it was far too intense for me, especially with children. But I support them however I can, and I always volunteer and have been bugging people to let me be a mentor for ages because it's kind of my entire job being a mentor.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm good at it. But there's another thing. Like, if I had said to my teachers in school, I want to mentor kids with autism, all of their responses would have boiled down to, well, you can't. Whereas when I say that to like people in the entrepreneurial space, they're like, oh, cool. How does that work? How will you do this?
Yeah.
How is that framed? How do you make money doing that? Is it for making money, or is it a social enterprise? It's always forward thinking rather than oh, you can't, or there's no money in that.
It's good.
Whatever. It's good. It's a good space to be in.
People will allow you to attempt to execute your dreams, and sometimes in the attempt you learn enough to realize what will and won't be successful, and then you've got what you need.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. Nobody's going to belittle you for your failures. They will encourage you to learn from them and help you work towards your next success. It's like Thomas Edison is another great example of the entrepreneurial mindset, in the sense that when he failed to create a commercially viable light bulb, he just tried again a different way, and that failed. So he tried again, and then he tried again.
And then he stole someone else's idea and mass manufactured it and became a successful businessman.
Exactly. Well, because that's the urban myth, right? Is that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. He didn't. But what he did do was he invented a mass producible, viable light bulb, one that didn't burn out in 8 hours and that you can actually make cheaply. That's what he did. And then he built a company around that to actually sell it and make money.
Because entrepreneurship is more than just creating a new product or a new service. It's about refining and redesigning existing ones in order to better serve the market and the needs of a community.
Yeah. That was, to put that wonderful piece of English, he didn't. I'm looking at the picture of Nikola Tesla on Noel's profile, and I'm thinking, I know what's coming here. Um, the best way it was ever put to me is a business isn't about making money, it's about solving a problem. It just so happens that certain types of businesses solve that problem at the same time as they're earning money in order to sustain solving that problem.
Yeah, so for example, if someone comes to you with an idea of a product they want to, a product that they want to sell.
Saw that one coming, Noel.
Then
You're very right.
Then the product they want to sell is just kind of the, trunk or branches of the tree that have grown out of the problem, which is the root. And if someone, is saying, oh, I want to make this product, and you're like, okay, so what's the root problem that it solves? And they can't figure out what that root problem is, then they need to redefine the product.
Exactly.
Because no matter how cool the idea of a vacuum covered in cat-themed stickers is, if it doesn't solve the problem,
it's a brilliant pick, Noel.
Of people not having access to
2 thumbs
that
up.
thing,
It's fantastic.
If they want it, then there's no point in creating it.
Yeah, and that's another thing you learn. Like, you don't do anything in business for nothing. And when you go to Startup Weekend, for example, everything centers around how are you going to solve that problem, and the secondary is how are you going to earn money, at least enough money to sustain you solving the problem by solving that problem. So it's not just, do you have a fancy new widget? It's, how does this widget help people, and are they going to pay for us?
Yeah, so look at plumbing, for example. Classic age-old business. It solves the problem of people not wanting feces inside their homes.
Yeah.
And you can charge them money because they are willing to have that problem solved. It's sustainable. Why do you think plumbers, make good money?
Yeah. Same with building. A building business is not in business to earn money. It's in business to construct the physical infrastructure our society needs. They do that through laborers, and they do charge money to sustain their efforts to grow. It's basic economics, and until the rise of communism and we do away with currency, our world is based around money. That's how effort is exchanged. And so why not do it in a way that grows you, or at least sustains what you are trying to do? That's what we call a social enterprise, actually, is a business that operates without a focus on profit.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean it's not paying its employees, to be clear.
It's not a volunteer,
but necessarily. It means that any of the money earned is going back into the business to make the products and services better. And in order to do that, they typically have a focus on solving community problems. And we were just reading quietly a comment from our most avid commenter for today. We love it when people talk to us.
Do you know what, Noel? I totally feel you.
Noel's basically going over the whole 99% of the work, and then someone takes credit for everything type side of things. And that does happen a lot. You do have to be really selective about your team when it comes to starting your own business. Yeah. I mean, Jason made this amazing mistake.
This is true.
Of hiring me. I've already stolen one of his cats.
It's true. She has.
I'm going for a second one in a couple of weeks' time. I've gotten him used to the idea that I'm not going to take anymore.
I think
once I'm done stealing his cats, I'll steal his children. No, I won't. They're terrifying. I'm terrified of diapers and vomit.
You should be. Noel makes a really good point, though. Actually, being on the spectrum makes me an easy target. In some ways, it does. You're absolutely right, and I think that is a video topic. Connected to this one is, how do you protect yourself without...
You're a target for social and emotional manipulation from people in a business, but in terms of corporate targeting and competition, you may actually have an edge up.
I would say
because you'd be able to identify it far easier and see the connection. So yeah, it's the give and the take. And I definitely agree, does ASD make you an easy target, and what it makes you an easy target for would be a great video topic, because, it's harder to get scammed by spam emails if you have a direct understanding of communication and logic, but it's easier to fall under the spell of someone who's like, I want to be your friend, and then can you pay for this? Can you pay for that? Can you pay for this? Can you pay for that? What? You've already spent $1,000. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I have fallen foul of people who are manipulating you. Oh, that's fine. You appear to be the only one on. I think because it's new and weird.
We like having you here. It means we're not talking to ourselves, to each other. Who do we usually address? I don't know.
Dear viewers?
The internet?
Yeah. Hello there,
Give me
internet.
love and affection and ship me Reese's Pieces. Or peanut butter cups.
At the end of the day, you know, being on the spectrum means that the entire dynamic is different for you compared to, like, the stereotype. And yeah, like you say, you know, some things, like being innovative, looking at things differently, coming up with ideas that nobody else has thought of, these are easier for people on the spectrum. Whereas dealing with sabotage or people trying to scam you can be a lot harder because, yeah, of any sort of reason. So yeah, definitely.
Or, you know, a lot of people on the spectrum will believe someone is trustworthy until they prove otherwise, and that kind of stuff, which...
Well, I get burned by that all the time.
Yeah. But I think given, you know, that we spent a good 20 minutes mucking around trying to get the first part off the ground, this is probably where we'll wrap it up for today.
We need to wrap it up here.
Give everyone a chance to kind of see the YouTube live vibe and tell us if they hate it or not. Yeah. And then next week, we will come back with an entire another video about
suicide.
Oh, I was gonna say autism and entrepreneurship.
Oh, are we doing part 2 of that next week? We will discuss.
I think we should do both.
Oh, why not?
We could do. Well, maybe if we don't have any morning appointments, we could do ASD and business part 2 in the morning. Oh, yeah. And suicide as the second one.
I like it.
And
thank you very much for your support, Noel. It's tricky, eh? All of this confidence, this beautiful, beautiful confidence, total facade.
Oh, mine's not a facade. I just don't give a shizwinkle what people think of me. I didn't swear. See what I did there?
But that's the thing,
but
right?
Hey, Noel, given that you've been such a beautiful human and you continued the conversation with us, if you want, private message the Neurodiversity page or put a message down in the comments here on YouTube, and we'll flick you some speaking advice as much as we can drum up and all that, and hopefully give a hand.
Yeah, we'd love to help out if we can.
Or, you know, track down your videos and watch them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I can click on his name, like... Nope, I can't click on his name. Oh god, what is this? YouTube has failed me.
You can put the... Okay, no. YouTube has given us the power to put people in timeout.
I like that.
Can we abuse them like teachers abuse school children they don't like?
Here's a question. Is giving us power a bad idea?
I think I would make a great dictator of the entire free world. Yeah, fabulous. So PM us on Facebook and either one of us, both of us, the Neurodiversity page.
Somebody.
And we'll flick you through that stuff.
Fantastic.
Because we value and love all of our loyal people who continue coming on, even though sometimes we are a flaming hot wreckage of the International Space Station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
The ending note being that Aspies will take over the world.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, let us bid the world farewell.
Let us bid you adieu.
We'll see you next week with 2 vidcasts, potentially. I've got every one of my fingers crossed that we will continue to not have technical video issues on YouTube.
Well, we went 34 minutes without having any problems on YouTube. Like, I think this is the new format in which we're going to do this.
Yeah.
This is way better for us on this side. My frustration levels are much lower that this has worked.
And then we can always take the video from YouTube and post it onto Facebook, pre-recorded on YouTube live.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to click end stream now.
Farewell.
We love you all, and see you next week.
Bye, 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 bye.